Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing my TV wrap-ups for the last quarter of 2020, which obviously was October, November and December. Much like my movie version, I do have a few things in here which I'm going to do separate video reviews for, so stay tuned for those if you're interested in more in-depth thoughts about those things. So kicking it off with October, I watched The Strain Season 1. It feels like so long ago since I watched this, and I gave that 4 stars. It's by Guillermo del Toro, who I really like as a director, and basically a freak virus traces back to ancient vampirism, and it's striking New York. Our main characters aim to stop this and tries to develop a bioweapon. This definitely has that signature del Toro style I love so much, what with the art of the special effects, the gore level and the style, and it's all honed in so well. You can see how he's really developed and fine-tuned his kind of aesthetic in terms of film and TV as a creator over the years, which is really nice to see. I loved that it had a very realistic scientific approach to this strain and how it leads back to vampirism. It does get a bit fantastical, which I'll probably talk about later on because I have since finished the series. It's very much like parasitic, a pandemic, and yeah, it was very well thought out for the most part. Some of the action and the dialogue can be quite cringy and cliche, but it definitely kept me hooked overall. Yeah, for season 1 of The Strain, I gave that a 4 stars. The next thing I watched was The Haunting of Hill House, and I'm gonna be doing a separate review for this, so skipping along to the next thing, which was, surprise surprise, The Strain Season 2. This one I gave it 3 stars, so although I enjoyed it, it was a little bit less than the first season. I do often find that sometimes with shows or books or something, after the kind of I can't remember the word, but the novelty of it wears off a little bit and it starts to go and it drags on in some regards, the magic goes a little bit, and so oftentimes the first of something is usually like my favourite. So I think that might be the case in this TV show series. I'm obviously not going to really go much into plot because the general synopsis of the show is what I've already spoken about for season 1. It just carries through as various challenges are faced with our characters and more development ensues. But I'll just mention some things here and there that stuck out to me as I was watching. One of them was I was not happy at all with the actor change for Zach, which is the son of one of my main characters. His mum in this reminds me of the other mother in Coraline, and that just amped up the freak out level for me. I did enjoy the development of this plot. To actually see the after effects of this vampire epidemic takeover, it was cool to see how characters and the story went from there. I was a bit confused with the storyline of Angel and Gus, sort of angry heat that they had that didn't seem to be roused from anything, and then all of a sudden like this reluctant acceptance from Angel. I just didn't really get it. It just seemed too intensive of an emotion for nothing really. I also do really appreciate how it dealt with Nazis in this and the Strigoi. We've got a very real historic monster in relationship with this fantasy type monster, and I thought that was such an interesting like contrast and comparison, and just an interesting theme to be used in this. I thought, oh god, it's going to get a bit silly with that, but actually it was quite an interesting thing to see mirrored. Yeah, the way it's all integrated just works really well. Overall still enjoyable, just way more cringy. And then in November, the first thing I watched was, you guessed it, The Strain Season 3. That one I gave 3 stars as well, so it's sitting quite level with Season 2. If anything, I feel like the acting got worse, maybe. I lost interest more because I felt like it could have ended at its peak. But again, I still did enjoy it, obviously. I watched it in its entirety. The intro felt more sophisticated, and I feel like perhaps it was trying to target a wider audience. So I don't know, maybe because it was trying to appeal to a wider range of fans, it lost that direction at the beginning that was quite niche and interesting, and it just kind of got a bit mainstream. I don't know. Shit did get crazy though. Just when things were winding down, or so you thought, plot twist upon plot twist upon plot twist. I loved it, and I was absolutely hooked by that season finale, though I had to watch it the next day because I did fall asleep. Next up, I watched The Haunting of Boy Manor, which I'm going to be doing as a review with The Haunting on Hill House. I was originally just going to do The Haunting of Hill House, and then we stuck on The Haunting of Boy Manor, and although I've got much less to say on that one than with Hill House, I thought it makes sense to just put them in a video together separately, as I was going to do a review separately of Hill House anyway. So moving on, I forgot to write when December started, so I think this is kind of where I started watching stuff in December, so I apologise if I'm wrong. Next up we've got Beastars Season 1, which I'm going to talk about in an anime and cartoons wrap up that I'm going to be doing at some point. Yeah, let's move on from that one. I finished up a show that I started like ages ago. I want to say at the very beginning of 2020, and then I just stopped watching it for some reason, but that is Myths and Legends Season 1. It's only got one season, and that is I gave it 3 stars. So this show is something that I stumbled on sort of by accident. I typed in the first few letters in Netflix trying to find something, and I can't even remember what that thing was that I was trying to find, but this popped up as similar to what I was trying to search, and I initially really loved it. It makes me think of Jackanory. I adore how informative it is on a variety of cultures, myths and legends, and the delivery on it is very pleasing to the eye. However, I did sort of fall off of it after a few episodes, bearing in mind that it has a total of like 6 episodes, so yeah, it just kind of lost me partway through, because I ended up finding that although I was very familiar with a lot of the content that it was giving, just felt very information heavy, and this was for each episode, and I thought that it would be better had they discussed maybe less things in one episode, or maybe had the episode shortened in length but with more episodes than just 6, just to balance out the content and kind of make it less info dumpy. I don't think there's any plans of renewal of a season. I think this came out in 2017 and there's been, I don't think, any word of a new season coming out, so I think that's just like a one-off thing, which is a shame because it was very well put together in my opinion. I'm glad I eventually completed it. Again, I started it at the beginning of the year and finished it at the end of the year, but at least we got there. Next I watched The Strain. Are you surprised? Season 4, and again sitting at a 3 stars again. So as I was mentioning earlier, the first season was definitely the most like impactful to watch and a more enjoyable one. I feel like at this point things were just getting on a little bit, and honestly we were just kind of watching it because we had been watching it for so long and we had to finish it, we couldn't not. The episodes in this season, for me at least, got very hit or miss, but again I still overall enjoyed seeing where everything was heading and eventually the kind of climax of the whole storyline. It did get a bit preposterous and a little bit too like high action from the more heavier scientific realistic approach of the first few seasons that we had, and that I really appreciated. So that was something that let me down a little bit more, because although it was more riveting to watch because it was more action paced, it just lost the thing that I enjoyed the most from it, being such a scientific, like you can imagine it happening based show. It just took a 180 and made it more action heavy, and that's why I think, again, I mentioned in the other season, it was trying to appeal to a wider audience, and that's where it went a bit mainstream and kind of lost my attention and love just a little bit. I think by this point it just became very comfortable for me, and by the end of it I felt like there was a void within me because I was done and I didn't know what to do with myself. But although there was a lot of filler episodes and it was a long time coming, I felt like by the ending I was very satisfied with how it all came together. Also, there's a little bit that we didn't realise. We think it was at every end of the season and we just didn't go into the extra bits, but there's this thing called Coping with the Strain, a therapy session, and that was hilarious. So now I kind of want to go back and watch each episode for each like season finale, because oh my god, that was amazing. And then we watched Alien Worlds Season 1, which we gave 4 stars. This is a documentary on Netflix, giving an amazing look at life on Earth, probable speculation on the kind of life that could be living on other planets such as Atlas, with a comparison of that hypothesis versus Earth species. So cool, the level of detail and again science behind it. You guys can see a trend that I like when things are sciencey and are plausible and could actually make sense. It just gives it that credibility, and it's an overall enjoyment because I feel like you can really immerse yourself in something, you know. It was absolutely fascinating. I didn't realise how short it was though, being only 4 episodes long, so we have since watched it like again just as background for the second time, but it was very enjoyable. Next up I watched The Queen's Gambit, which I gave a 3.5 stars. Sent to an orphanage at the age of 9, Beth develops a very interesting talent for chess, as well as becoming heavily addicted to the green tranquilizers that they give to children in the orphanage. I honestly have no interest whatsoever in chess, but this was very addicting to watch. I stayed up all night to watch nearly every episode. I can't even really pinpoint what kept me watching, but there was just something about it. maybe it was Beth. She's such an interesting character, but yeah, I don't really know what else to say for this. Although I didn't like how she treated her friends and lovers, the sense of banding together in the final few scenes really lifted my heart. I did enjoy seeing that. I feel like I want to kind of describe it as like abstract in style. I don't know. All I know is that it really intrigued me and I enjoyed it for whatever reason. It just blended competitive sport with drug abuse and conversations on like mental health really well. Oh, and I really liked the actress who played Beth, Anya Taylor-Joy. She's just such a mesmerising actress. I can't wait to see her in the New Mutants, which recently finally came out. I think it's on Amazon Prime. And I didn't realise how young she is. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that. One that I don't know, I just stuck it on a whim and really, really loved it. Even though 3.5 stars doesn't sound too good, but it's a decent rating. It's especially, again, coming from, I had no interest in chess and I really enjoyed it, you know. And I watched 2 animes which are going to be going in that anime and cartoon review, and that is Blood of Zeus and Parasyte. Then we watched this strange one actually. It's called Dead Set, and it's only got like 1 season, and it came out a while ago, so I'm pretty sure it's just a one-off, and I gave that one 3 stars. This was so much fun. It's basically based on Big Brother, the earlier ones, which for me is nostalgic as they've especially stopped showing it in UK now. They don't air it anymore. But a zombie outbreak happens. I wasn't sure how it would work as a TV series rather than a movie, because like when we put it on I thought it was going to be a movie, but it did kind of work, which I'm happy about. I liked how well they portrayed the mannerisms of the housemates, especially on eviction night. It was just, again, it was so nostalgic to watch. They actually used like Davina and some of the past contestants on the show. Like, it was really fun. This was way more enjoyable than I ever expected it to be. Pretty funny too, and proper British, so if you love British dry silly humour then this is definitely for you. Next up I watched The Boys season 1. We've recently got a Amazon Prime trial, so we've been like trying to make the most of it, and I gave this 4 stars. I've been wanting to check this out for a while, and again, since we've had Amazon Prime, it was a great chance. So basically superheroes are like celebrities in this world, but it also takes a very realistic, dark approach to the carelessness and corruption left behind by all this like awe and heroism. It's just for show. The boys are like the anti-heroes, because the actual heroes of this world are total dicks and they're horrible and they're not heroic at all. There's a random thing, but there was a race earlier on in the season. It really reminded me of Disney Olympic Games, and I was like, it just took me right back. I was like, whoa, that was a trippy experience. I wasn't expecting to see a fair amount of perspective from the actual supes, which are the superheroes in this world, but it helped to get a better idea of how the story is and kind of like the setting of where everyone expects their superiority to be, if that makes sense. I really did enjoy this. It was gritty, dark, funny, realistic, especially with all like the messy stuff, which I like about the idea of superheroes in real life. Like, surely they can't be perfect, but this just took it to another level and I loved it. Next up, I finally watched season 4 of The Magicians, which I gave 4 stars. Again, it's been forever since I've watched this show. I think it stopped airing new episodes on Channel 5, which is what I was watching it on, and since when I moved I didn't have Sci-Fi because I think they also aired it on that. But again, since we had trial for Amazon Prime, it was a good excuse to check it out. I was so excited to see it on there. I was quite a bit hazy on what had happened at the end of season 3 and just generally like plot wise for the whole seasons, but I remembered all the big bits. A lot of crazy plot twists are definitely something that I remembered from the end of season 3, so it was such torture having to wait to finally crack on with the next season for so long, not knowing what happened next, because it would always swim to the front of my mind again thinking, oh, I wonder what happened next, you know. It was amazing to be back in this world though. Although I was, again, a bit confused about some things, it was easy to fall back into, and I watched most of it in a day. The thing that was odd was the change of identities. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth with this because I don't want to spoil it, but basically, I feel like, if you know what I mean, hopefully, maybe you can confirm kind of what I'm talking about, but I feel like they should have kept the other actors of the new identity to make it more impactful when the plot developed. And then, yeah, and filming pasties. What did you just do? I'm gonna keep that in. Honestly. Also, I forgot that there are singing episodes and I absolutely loved it. I was so happy. Oh my god. And it wasn't just like one episode or one song, there was quite a few and it just made my heart lift. I was so happy to be back in this world, honestly. And then I went back to The Boys, which I gave a 5 stars for season 2. So again, you know, I mentioned how sometimes it's the first season or the first book of something that really hooks me. Well, this one was an exception because it got better, which was amazing because I already really enjoyed the first season. So yeah, I finished this actually on the first day of January, but I just wanted to include it in here anyway because I was already talking about The Boys and it just made sense. Like, why wait, you know? So as I say, the last season was definitely more superhero heavy. This one followed more plots of like the underground, more with the actual boys, as well as the evil plots of the Soups, the church, which was introduced by a character called the Deep, the creation of these super terrorists, and new character beliefs. So there was so much more that was expanded on in this. This was just honestly like next level, and the last episode was bloody epic. I was screaming at the TV in like excitement. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, my face was getting tingly. I was just so excited, and it was such an amazing like production, which sounds silly to say for a TV show because usually you'd say production for like a theatre piece or something, but it was really phenomenal. And also on a deeper level, when you think about it, we've seen it time and time again, those with power will often become corrupt. So again, thinking about it, why should it be any different if we look at it with those with superpowers? That's even more, that's like higher than just regular political power, and that like, who is to tell them what they can and can't do? Of course some of them are going to get corrupt. So yeah, it just makes sense. And it's scary because it's really psychotic. But that's it for the bulk of the stuff that I watched in the last 3 months of 2020. I've got some shout outs. So I watched Glow Up season 1. I loved it. This is like a makeup contest show. I've followed Nikki's Secret for a while, and then this popped up and I remembered wanting to watch it when it came out on BBC One or BBC 3 or whatever it was. Super entertaining, just good vibes all around. What I liked about it is it had none of that bitchy mentality that you tend to see in the beauty industry. It was just pure and simple and enjoyable with some amazing artists, excellent creativity. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, again, that's it for this video. Let me know what you've been watching, what you'd recommend, anything on Amazon Prime, Netflix, stuff like that. We're in another lockdown now, so I'm not going to be going anywhere, that's for sure, other than work. But yeah, I'll speak to you in another video soon. Bye. I would do my little piece, but I've got my phone in one hand and my tea in the other. Okay, here we go.